Hi there, this is Phil Dreshfield, and this is video lecture for Chapter 5, Facilitating Employees' Work Performance. Greetings, students in supervisory management. We're going to take Chapter 5 and divide it up into two video lectures. Simply because I'm running out of time today. I've got to run into Brightwater and teach a class tonight. But I want you to also very quickly understand there's some housekeeping that needs to be done. I will have a discussion board assignment that I will have posted tomorrow along with part 2 of this video lecture on Chapter 5. What I want to basically talk to you about in Chapter 5 is communications. You know, in the restaurant business, managers, they represent the operation, they represent themselves and their employees. So it's necessary for managers to speak and listen effectively during personal interactions, whether it's with individual employees or with groups. Certainly on the telephone, and they should also recognize the fact that what they say may not necessarily be always understood. I want to go over that as well. But, you know, in the hospitality industry, it's very important that you speak clearly, first of all. You speak like a pro. You need to speak like a pro sometimes when you're on the telephone even. Let's say you are a host or a hostess at a restaurant, a fancy French restaurant. The phone rings and perhaps you have a voice that sounds like this. Hello, this is Chez Philippe's. Bonjour, my name is Ashley. How may I help you? Okay, do you like that one? Chez Philippe's? Get it? I've also answered the phone or heard the phone answered like this. Chez Philippe's. You know, which would you rather have? I mean, if you're going to use the telephone like a pro, okay? It's also very important that you listen, okay? Listening is very different from hearing, okay? If you are a manager and you are hearing what your employee is saying, are you? Are you merely listening? Do you understanding? Okay? So listen very carefully. And if you need to, restate the message. Simple. Make sure that you and the employee are on the same page and you clearly understand what he or she is telling you. Restate the message. Okay? Because sometimes there's barriers to communications, particularly in the restaurant business. Okay, hospitality, restaurants in particular, have their own jargon, their own slang, their own street terms. Okay, BOH, FOH. You know what that was? How about, oh my gosh, we're 86 mashed potatoes? Dang, what does that mean? Most of you who have worked in a kitchen would understand some of that. All of it, I would hope. But jargon is not necessarily something that a new employee will understand, particularly if they are in the back of the house. BOH, get it? Let's face it, chefs have their own language. They have their own, I mean, they create their own, each kitchen has their own language and their own slang. So be careful of jargon, okay? Be careful of word meanings. I mean, because of cultural differences, just choose your words very carefully because words have different meanings for different individuals from different cultures. I'm not going to go into a heavy discussion about linguistics today. I know you'd like to hear a story about linguistics. Not today. Let's just leave it at this. Choose your words carefully because words have different meanings. All right. One of the things you have to take control of in an operation as a manager is what's known as the grapevine. Okay, you must control the grapevine. Well, what is the grapevine? It's an informal line of communication that is usually made up of gossip and rumors. Yeah, gossip and rumors. All right. It's up to the manager to basically decide how to react to that. Gossip and rumors are best not to be repeated by the management. Let's leave it at that, okay? But you must be aware that it exists and you must have your ear to the ground so you can listen to what the rumors and gossips are, particularly if it's about you, the management. Just saying. All right, what else we got? Oh, watch out for nonverbal communications. Okay, nonverbal communications. I'm doing one now. You see. Um, Again, they convey a message that is not conveyed by your words. Do you understand? See how that just by furrowing my brow, I'm giving you another message? What's the matter with you? Versus, are you all right? What's the matter with you? See the difference? Okay. Nonverbal communications, okay? Be aware of your posture, be aware of your dress, be aware of your eyebrows, be aware of your hand gestures. You know, hand gestures mean different things in different cultures as well. So chill it on the hand gestures. Wow. Phone's ringing in the middle of a lecture. Forgot to turn the cell phone off. Sorry. All right. So much about communications. Let's talk about coaching. Okay. Um, Coaching involves informal efforts to improve your employees' performance, and it should be an ongoing process to reinforce proper behavior and correct negative performance. Okay? So, it all starts by comparing an employee's actual behavior with what's expected behavior, okay, or expected performance. So, for example, in a kitchen, let's say the standard operating procedure is after 4 hours, you get a 15-minute break, so you could grab maybe a Coke or a smoke. And after 8 hours, you get a meal. You have to prepare it yourself. You're limited in your menu ingredients, your menu selection, but after 8 hours, you can get yourself a meal. So let's say you're the back of the house manager, you're the kitchen manager, and you've just hired a new employee. And she comes to work, and the first thing she does is fix herself a sandwich. Everybody else is setting up for dinner rush. She's fixing herself a sandwich and sitting down. Okay, it's your role, like I said, to correct negative performances. So you need to approach this individual and actual behavior versus the standard operating procedures. You must inform her in a positive way that this behavior is counterproductive because it's much more efficient and effective when everybody sets up the line first, works 4 hours, and then you can take a small break. It is our kitchen policy that after you complete your 8 hour shift, you've had your 15-minute break in the middle, and after your shift, you may prepare yourself a meal from this limited selection of menu items. Okay? As a manager, that's what you have to do. Okay? You always try and emphasize the positive when that happens. Okay? You always have to be tactful. Okay? And perhaps what you need to do as your standard operating procedure as a manager is to create stuff or something that's called progressive discipline, which is a series of corrective actions that I'll get into more in part two, but it begins with correcting negative behavior. So, coaching in general is the ability for you as a manager to recognize on each employee their actual behavior and compare it to standard operating procedures. After that, it's up to you, the manager, to reinforce positive behavior, and you can do that publicly, and correct negative behavior, and best do that in private. Okay? Whenever you're discussing, conducting any sort of discussions about negative behavior with another employee or with all of your employees, you know, you must do that in private. You do not browbeat or correct or chastise an employee in public, in the kitchen, in the front of the house, in front of anybody else. I know Chef Gordon Ramsay does it. So very not right, okay? Do not browbeat your employees, okay? Negatives in private. All right, what else we've got? Part of the way you correct their behavior is you need to explain the reasons for change in their behavior. Okay, you're not following company policy, perhaps, or perhaps it's just, it's affecting the teamwork within the kitchen by your behavior and why you're doing this. Okay, it's always best, like I said, however, when you're coaching an employee to try and correct a negative or reinforce a positive, to always find something good to say and remain on a positive light. All right, this is where I'm going to stop for today for part 1. I want everybody to catch up on your reading. Please read the chapter. I'm sure you already have chapter 5 and looked at the PowerPoints. Yes, you have. Good for you. All right, we'll pick this up tomorrow and look for the discussion board assignment as well. Thank you very much and good to see you.